Hello students, welcome you all to the fifth lesson overall and the second lesson from the poem My Mother at 66. Last time we have discussed the poem by Kamala Das, My Mother at 66. In this class we are going to discuss some expected questions from the poem. To start with the textual questions. The first question, what is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? I repeat, what is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? I have prepared some keywords related to the first question. Pale and corpse-like face of mother, aging mother, time and aging spare none, death becomes inevitable. So if we can sum up these keywords, the answer can go like this. When the poet sees the pale and corpse-like face of a mother, her old familiar pain or the ache returns. The poet realizes the fact that aging is a natural process. Time and aging spares none, nor it is going to spare her aging mother. Time and aging have not spared the poet's mother and may not spare her as well. With this aging, separation and death become inevitable. Let's move on to the second question. Why are the young trees described as sprinting? Why are the young trees described as sprinting? Keywords related to these questions. With the speed of the car, trees seems to be running fast or sprinting. So the answer to this question, the poet is driving to the Cochin airport, as you all know. When she looks outside, the young trees seems to be walking past them. With the speed of the car, they seem to be running fast or sprinting. The poet presents a contrast. Her dozing old mother and the sprinting young trees. Let's move on to question number 3. Why has the poet brought in the image of the merry children spilling out of their homes? Let me repeat the question. Why has the poet brought in the image of the merry children spilling out of their homes? Keywords: to present a contrast, merry children coming out of their homes, present an image of happiness and spontaneous overflow of life. This image in stark contrast to the dozing old mother. So we can have our answer like this. The poet has brought in the image of merry children spilling out of their homes to present a contrast. The merry children coming out of their homes in large numbers present an image of happiness and spontaneous overflow of life. This image is in stark contrast to the dozing old mother, whose ashen face looks lifeless and pale like a corpse. Corpse means a dead body. She is an image of aging, decay, and passivity. The contrast of the two images enhances the poetic effect. So far as the fourth question is concerned, why has the mother been compared to the late winter's moon? I repeat, why has the mother been compared to the late winter's moon? Keywords: she is 66, ashen face, resembling to a corpse or a dead body, lost her shine and strength as the winter's moon looks hazy and obscure. So the answer to question number 4 is like this. The poet's mother is 66 years old. She is an old woman. Her shrunken, ashen face resembles a corpse. She has lost her shine and strength of youth. Similarly, the late winter's moon looks hazy and obscure. It too lacks shine and strength like the aging mother of the poet. The comparison is quite natural and appropriate. The simile used here is apt as well as effective. Let's move on to question number 5. What do the parting words of the poet and her smile signify? Repeat. What do the parting words of the poet and her smile signify? Keywords: poet's parting words and smile provide contrast to her old familiar fear. Siusun Amma gives assurance to the old mother. An attempt to overcome the fear ache inside her heart. So the answer to question number 5 is like this. The poet's parting words of assurance and her smiles provide a stark contrast to the old familiar ache or fear of the childhood. Her words and smiles are a deliberate attempt to hide her real feelings. The parting words, that is "See you soon, Amma," gives an assurance to the old lady whose ashen face looks like a corpse. Similarly, her continuous smiles are an attempt to overcome the ache and fear inside the heart. Students, I have prepared some extra questions in addition to the textual questions. Let's move on to this extra question. I have prepared 3 extra questions. To start with, describe the world inside the car and compare it to the activities taking place outside. I repeat, describe the world inside the car and compare it to the activities taking place outside. The pale and faded face of the poet's mother looks lifeless, like a corpse. Corpse is a dead body. So the pale and faded face of the poet's mother looks lifeless, like a dead body. Her dozing with her mouth wide open suggests passivity, decay, and death. Outside the car, the poet watches young trees speeding past them. They seem to be running fast or sprinting. In addition to those trees, happy children are moving out of their homes very cheerfully. They present an image of life, dynamism, and activity. The next question: what is the poet's familiar ache and why does it return? I repeat the question. What is the poet's familiar ache and why does it return? The poet is pained at the aging and decaying of her mother. This fear is with her since her childhood. The fear is that with aging comes decay and death. That is the fear of the poet, that with the aging comes decay and death. The sight of her old mother's ashen and corpse-like face arouses that old familiar ache in her heart. Her childhood fear returns. So seeing her mother in that condition, her childhood fear returns. She is also pained and frightened by the idea that she may have to face all these things herself. Okay, let's move on to the last question. What poetic devices have been used by Kamala Das in the poem My Mother at 66. The poem My Mother at 66 is rich in imagery. Imagery is a literary device. Kamala Das uses this literary devices of comparison and contrast to a great deal. The use of simile is very effective. The face of the poet's old mother is described as ashen. This ashen face is like that of a corpse. The poet uses another simile. The wan, pale face of the mother is compared to the late winter's moon. So in this case, the poet uses this simile to a good effect again. The poem excels in contrasts as well. The old dozing mother inside is contrasted with the young trees sprinting and merry children spilling out of their homes. So students, today we have discussed all those expected questions along with some extra questions from the poem My Mother at 66. In this way we conclude this class, and in the next lecture, that would be lecture number 6, we are going to discuss another chapter from your textbook Flamingo. Okay, thank you.